cycle through the day. So it's after around 11 or noon, and I usually go until about probably 4 o'clock, and that's usually where there's a lull moment where either I don't want to do anything, I don't have any desire to do any work, and then after like I've either eaten anything or I've just woken up, I have that burst of energy where I like, all right, I'm energized, let's go to work. So I feel like with me, it was that morning or evening cycle where I would do a lot of the work.
It's good to find those for yourself so you know where you're at and how to move forward. That's interesting because like Maxim was talking about that with the meals thing. Some people rage all day and other people can eat one big meal. I find that I tend to fluctuate all over the place.
Again, everyone has their own points.
Some days I'm eating all day, some days I'm
not eating at all. It's like I'm gonna have this one thing.
I'm fairly consistent with meal times. It's just mostly I'm inconsistent with the amounts.
The intake usually is just fluctuating from that point on.
Okay. I'm kind of short on time, so we need to kind of hone in on the crux of the conversation. Let's see. I have to remind myself because I've had so many people come in that I get really fuzzy on details. Right now, they're all starting to run together on me again. What did you put together like a quality management evaluation pattern or a grading pattern or anything like that?
What do you mean?
Okay, so last week I sent out an email, or I sent out an announcement. It's the final evaluations. I'm reminded that in this class you're invited to develop for yourself a quality management pattern, a way to gauge your level of or degree of success with projects and with learning and growing as a project manager. I'm reminded that there's two levels of stewardship. I have a stewardship over over helping you learn something, or ensuring that you learn something throughout the semester. The last part of that was a invitation that if you don't have anything else, if you have not gone through the process of developing a way to evaluate your progress and regularly doing that, and I gave 4 items that I usually center my evaluation around. I said, if you don't have anything else, try this. Did you come prepared to talk about any of that, or how are you approaching the evaluation?
I do it the way that I look at those projects.
Okay.
The way I look at those projects and the way I've been able to track my own progress is when I finish that project, I look back and watch and kind of look at the different steps and points that I've taken across the way. So either my planning process or how much effort I did across the way. Did I do it? Was I at a short burst? Did I do a steady? The way I've been able to look, at least the way I've progressed in this project, is how much did I learn from both the experience and the outcome product. And the way I felt it's a balance of both, because you can learn a lot along the way as well as you can learn a lot at the end. Maybe what did work, what didn't work, what went well at the beginning, what didn't go well as you went on, and what you got to go back and refix things. I looked a lot at the journey of the projects versus the end product, and the way I was able to track a lot of my progress was how much was I actually wanting to learn and to push myself and to progress throughout the project, not just to get to the end and then be done with it. And then I learned there was a lot that came from that thought process of a continuous learning process throughout the project.
How do you capture your learning?
The way I was able to...
How do you know when you've learned something?
When I'm able to sit down and look at my project and be able to actually envision myself back when I started that project and compare a then and now scenario of what was my vision before versus what it had become when I got to that point. And it was interesting because I remember I looked at that same idea, and this actually came with the...
Can you give me some specific examples of that?
I think I told you about the weather website I told you before that. And it was just a basic outline of nothing but a colored background, an image, and then basic details. Whereas when I got to the one where it's a finished product, I learned a whole lot more. I learned about different databases and different chunks, different ways to pull data to have dynamic data, not just static inputs, and be able to connect pieces and parts to different sites and different connections. It was almost like it was an interesting way that I thought about this. It was like a spider web explosion, if that makes any sense. Because you have that one piece, and then you develop, it's like, all right, I'm learning about JavaScript, I'm learning about CSS, I'm learning about a preprocessor, I'm learning about HTML, and then it's like, can I learn about other preprocessors? Can I learn about different subsections of SCSS and different CSS variants? It's like, can I learn about just doing it all in one? Can I try to combine those two? I learned the easy way for me to track was how big did the file get over time? And the more I learned, the more it grew with me. The more I was able to collect everything in one go versus just having to be sporadic or try to rush it all to the end where I'm sacrificing quality for the quantity.
You've seen that pattern too.
Quite a few times.
Get to the end.
And it's like this isn't what I wanted, and that's why I honestly thought, because my previous pattern where I told you before, I liked working ahead of the pace because I like having that quality of the product and then being able to go back in that gap period to review and it's like, well, I'm there's the product, but what else can I learn from that?
I think I asked you this question before, but I don't know the answer. When you see spillover effects, those patterns that you're talking about in the web type projects, web type coding, have you seen that start to spill over into other parts of your life now? Like church commons, family relationships, other areas.
It actually has, and now that you bring it up, that actually was one thing that I remember thinking about, because it was that same kind of focus of getting ahead and staying on pace, but still having enough of that breathing room that you can adjust for everything. Mm-hmm. I remember that also with my girlfriend and with my parents, that there was a lot of those effects that were, it was just happening. It wasn't a forceful change or a sporadic moment. It was just as I was learning and building and growing in this environment, it was just natural. So that was pretty interesting because I never thought of it that way.
How well prepared are you for a variety of different projects now?
I think I honestly could take on a lot of different projects. I think I could start being able to get more diversity in just a straightforward pathway than it's like, in a project like, well, is there any specifics you want me to tackle, or is there you want me creativity in different ways? And it's like, do this, get to this, and find what works. And honestly, I love that idea because it allows for me to put my own spin on it. So I honestly think I could do a lot of those things.
So in terms of your grade, do you care about where your grade ends up? Do you need to have that in a certain place for a certain reason?
The only thing I would like is just a B. I would be satisfied with a B. I feel like I don't deserve the A, but I know I've done more than a C. I would be happy with a B, and I'm perfectly satisfied with getting a B in this class. All right.
Okay. I think the thing I get the most excited about is how you're seeing all those connection points. How you're seeing how they all tie together. It seems like you're strong personally with individual level projects. How do you do with team projects on a smaller scale, like maybe a team of 3 to 5 versus a team of a larger organization like 30, 40, 50, 100 plus people, something like that? Mm-hmm. How are you doing there? It seems like you're strong in the individual. I'm not as sure on the team, and I really don't know about that.
As of right now, I feel like I've got a little better experience because I remember when I first started working with teams, it was a little bit harder because I was having to rely a lot on their side of the thing. But it was also the point on my end because I had to learn to trust a lot of my peers. Mm-hmm. So that was honestly a really big step for me. I had to get out of my comfort zone and actually give and hand off. It's like, all right, I've done what I need to do. I'm trusting in you to do what you need to.
And it seems to me like you're kind of in a developing mode.
I'm still in that developing stage, and I feel like as time goes on, I'll start being able to expand on that theory of the way I would look at a team project.
Good. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. And thank you for a great semester.
Merry Christmas. Make sure you smile while it's time, right? Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir, and thank you for a great semester.
You too.
You already gave me
Something I've learned about Sam is he's pretty sly.
5.
Okay.
All right.
You might need that pizza. We might be here for a while.
Yeah. My wife will be home by 4:45.
Oh, we better be serious then.
All right.
4 o'clock. Let's get to it.
Okay. So.
I've got about 100 things to approve before I leave.
Jeez. Okay, we'll make this as quick as possible. So last time we talked about me going over the 5 outcomes rubric, kind of seeing where I was at and whatnot with all that, and I was kind of talking with Austin about that while I was waiting.
The challenge today is you said you're really good at kind of going verbose and big. And the challenge is to get to concise today.
Yeah. So,
Short, sweet, to
short,
Can
sweet,
we
to
do
the
it?
point. Here we go. So, first outcome, growing capacity and disposition to act and not be acted upon. I feel like I have significantly improved in that this semester versus where I was before the semester started.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in a much better mental state to be able to do that. I feel like with
Learn how to stabilize the other parts of your life.
Yes.
Stabilize.
Exactly.
That's a very good thing.
I have wrangled all that in. Number
It
2.
won't be the last time that you're challenged on that.
We're looking at potty training here soon, so that'll definitely be an act upon thing.
I don't know if I'm ready to be potty trained.
Yeah. Develop additional comprehension and capacity for stewardship and consecration. I feel like I've significantly grown in that. I don't feel like I've done outstanding in all of these.
What's the difference in your comprehension?
The difference in the comprehension is how can I apply what I've learned within this class to other facets of my life, specifically, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a student, I'm an employee, I'm a disciple. How can I apply what I've learned, and have I learned it well enough to be able to apply it to different facets of my life? I feel like I've done.
Somebody asked you to define those two terms, stewardship and consecration. What has changed in your explanation or definition?
What has changed in my explanation? I feel like with stewardship, it's mostly scope. I think I've realized this semester that there's a lot more in my stewardship than I originally understood. Before, I always thought my stewardship was my husband and my father. These are the things that I'm in charge of. For lack of a better word. But then there's also other things in my stewardship like grades, homework, going to work, things within side of work. I have the stewardship to customers to be able to provide a good experience. I have a stewardship to make sure my house doesn't burn down. Make sure that there's money coming into the home. There's a kind of the scope of what I've understood about stewardship has expanded this semester. And then the idea of consecration, I feel like that's come more into the fact of, I guess if I were to define that, kind of more of a scope thing as well, is how to consecrate not just my time when I'm in this thing and doing this, consecrate my time while I'm at school. I'm in class, consecrating my time to class. How can I consecrate my time outside of class to also improving this, and my time outside of the home to improve this, and how can I improve or how can I consecrate myself more outside of work to be better at work? So kind of, yeah. So like basically really consecrating my whole self to all of my stewardships, I feel like is kind of what I've learned this semester. Yeah. So outcome 3, develop and execute project plans according to modern project delivery methodologies while working within real life constraints. My gosh, those real life constraints.
Got a couple of those.
Just a couple, just a few. So I feel like when we talked a little bit about methodologies last time, I don't feel like I really constrained myself to any one particular methodology. I wanted to learn more about them, so I did the project in Minecraft using waterfall methodology, and I feel like I learned a lot from that. I really did. But I feel like I did that sufficiently to where I understood the value of a methodology and why that's important. but I don't feel like I've really gotten to a point where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a methodology for everything that I do now. I'm going to be very methodical and very thought out and very well organized about everything that I do. I don't feel like I got to the point where I can really say that I can do that.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they kind of overdo.
Yeah. I always. Yeah, methodologies. My wife and I were talking about this morning. She was like, yeah, her cousin was going on about how she just wants her kids to do what she tells them, and they're like, and the oldest is like 7. So she's like, yeah, what I do is I just give them, I say, you can wear this shirt or this shirt, and they have to pick one of those 2 shirts. It's like, well, what are you going to do if your kid says you want to wear that shirt?
They do sometimes.
Oh, yes, I tell my son some of these too. I don't know why I keep trying to reason with him, but I say, do you want this snack or this snack? And he'll be like, cheese! I'm like, you've already had like 5 cups of cheese today. You don't need more cheese. So, yeah. So anyway, I feel like methodologies have their place. I feel like I've learned the importance of methodologies, but I don't feel like I've learned necessarily how to leverage those in the best possible way. So, being honest with myself on that. Outcome 4, expanded and deepened knowledge of awareness of and experience with how to lead and work individually within a team and within an organization to accomplish operational, tactical, and strategic level objectives, outcomes, and initiatives. It's a little big. That being said, I feel like, because I've still been working on my project, even though like especially kind of been done a little bit, I've still been working on my project. And project I think is going to keep going on through next year. But I've been starting to work on it with my brother, who is also, I mentioned that we streamed the other day. And since that time and today, I went from exactly 3 followers on Twitch to 10.
Hey, you're making progress.
Yeah. And then I went from like 7 followers on Twitter to now I have how many? 15. So doubled that.
Nice.
Yeah. I've gone from 0 followers on Facebook to now I have 36. And wow. With that I just decided to just be like, before I was kind of thinking, I don't know if any of my friends are actually going to be interested in this. So I was just like, I'm just going to send it to everyone, and if they bite, that's great. And I got 36 people to follow on there. So when I'm going to stream tonight, and I'm going to stream on Twitch and Facebook. We'll see how many people actually show up.
What do you feel like is your outcome for that? What do you hoping that people that follow your streams, what do you hope that they're gaining from it?
I hope that they're just being entertained. Honestly, I'm not looking to change the world.
Oh, come on, but it's Minecraft.
Yeah. I'm not one of these. Yeah, I'm not one of these people that I'm just like, I'm going to change the world through my streams.
Within Minecraft, within their enjoyment,
just some kind of smile. Honestly, I've always enjoyed making people smile. It's something I feel like I've been really good at. So, and I don't know how to necessarily quantify. That's the smile, There's no way to really quantify that, but I feel like as I go through and I do these things, people will follow, people will watch, people will come back, and I think that retention factor, bringing in some kind of interaction, that retention that I'm going to get through that's going to be kind of the metric that I go by for, am I doing a good job? Am I achieving this goal? And then I've already done like on Twitter polls and stuff like that. So there's ways to interact. I have a polling thing on my Twitch page as well, so I can put up poll. Like right now, I just have, what do you like to eat for the holidays, turkey or ham? but as I try to get more data, because there's a lot of data that you can access through these different portals and stuff on Twitch, and YouTube and Facebook. You have Facebook analytics that goes into that YouTube analytics. So there's a lot of data that I can go through. I don't necessarily have a lot of data right now to be able to say, oh, this is a trend that I'm seeing. This is what I'm doing that's bringing the results that I want. But that being said, I mean, yeah, I feel like there's definitely, yeah, I got some start. I got some progress getting made with that. But yeah, as far as what I want to get with all that, I want to have fun. And for other people, I just want them to smile. I'm not looking to change the world. Just make a couple dollars from it. That's great too. So then outcome 5. Oh, we didn't really talk about expand and deepen knowledge of awareness of and experiences, blah blah blah, how to lead and stuff like that. So I've been working with my brother, and we've been kind of like tagging each other back and forth on Twitter and stuff like that, Facebook and on Instagram and whatnot. And from that, we've actually gotten some pretty good growth on our channels. For a while there, Jim was at 8. After his first stream, he had 8 people following him, which I'm like, okay, cool. Some of us actually have to work for them, but but then right now we're both at 10 followers, and so we've kind of been, he will look at some aspects of it, I'll look at some other aspects, and we kind of coordinate on Facebook and like, all right, you need to look in how to do this because I don't know anything about that. And then we're leveraging our contacts and stuff like that so we can both kind of grow. So it's been interesting to watch. I feel like here in this last week, I've really gotten a hold of how to do that. So like probably significantly, I would say, demonstrating consistent improvement in all 3 forms: individual, team, organizational, in at least 2 different settings or levels: operational, tactical, or strategic for each format, or vice versa, 2 formats in 3 different settings or levels. So I feel like individual and team, that's kind of where I've done. And so so then the 2 different formats, operational, tactical, and strategic, I feel like mostly, operational, we've had to figure out how does all of this work, how can we leverage it together. Tactical, kind of saying, all right, we're gonna do this in our streams. We're gonna
Operational is usually used as kind of a process, right?
Yeah.
Day in, day out.
Yeah, so
tactics is kind of short-term.
Yeah.
Strategic is collection of tactics towards some goal.
Yeah.
Under article you read on those, so it kind of flips that around.
Yeah. So I feel like, between everything that we've done, especially in this last week, I feel like it's all started to really click, and I finally figured out how it all works. So, and I feel like that took me from sufficient, because I feel like, I understood what it was, and but then I feel like, okay, here's how I can apply it. I feel like there's that kind of click. And then outcome 5: create, practice, and implement professional oral and written presentations, reports, consumable solutions, and project-oriented deliverables. I feel like that's sufficient. I feel like before the semester started, I've always been a very good presenter, public speaker, kind of. I felt comfortable in front of crowds. But then kind of in this new area where, for lack of a better word, I'm talking to myself. I feel like it's, there's something that's a little different about that. So I feel like I found an area to grow in, which I feel like has brought me from where I was previously feeling significant or maybe even outstanding in my ability to, present data and find this data and, give presentations and reports and everything that's said in here. I feel like I've settled into an area where, there's some space to grow, which I feel like is good. But that being said, there's still a lot of space to grow. So I feel like there I'm doing, sufficient. I can kind of see how I'm progressing, and maybe I'm not progressing as fast as some other people, but I'm progressing, and I feel like I'm I'm doing pretty good. So,
Okay.
as far as like a final grade goes, if I were to give myself a final grade, I mean, I've been bouncing the number around of like an 85. So, I mean, I definitely don't feel like I got 100. I say that's, I say give me 100 sarcastically, but yeah, I feel like personally about an 85, just for what I feel like I've grown pretty significantly. I also have a tendency, and I understand this, to be really hard on myself with stuff like, my self-evaluations. I have a tendency to be a little hard on myself, so I don't know if you...
Your rubric would indicate probably about a B minus C plus, but I think the B sounds about where I had you placed.
Yeah.
In my own mind. So.
Okay.
I think we're seeing eye to eye.
Cool. Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah. I have a tendency to be a little hard on myself sometimes, so I don't know if maybe,
I think you did that in the rubric.
Yeah.
Assessing yourself a little lower.
Yeah.
Than how others might be seeing where you're at.
So I'm curious to know how, from your position, how do you feel like I've done this semester? Where do some areas that you feel like I could
There's
improve
two different
on?
ways that I can look at that. One is just to look at the competence level and compare everybody to where they're all at, and have a consistent model for where everybody is, where I put people in that model. When I do that, that's kind of the accreditation perspective that they give us.
Yeah.
And so there they have us drop it into 4 buckets: unsatisfactory, developing, proficient, and outstanding. There I'd say all semester I've had you either on the developing bucket, because I see some developing areas, but I've also say I've had you for other things in the proficient bucket. The way that I describe that is the proficient bucket to me means I can throw you any kind of project in any kind of team and feel like you're going to find a way to make a contribution.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's mostly where you're at.
Yeah.
I feel pretty solid about that, which is where I feel like, okay, that's good solid.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're going to be
most amazing, fantastic.
Changing the world. You're not going to be driving all of the train, but you're going to find a way to make a solid contribution.
I'll be shoveling that coal as best I can, yeah.
And the developing end of it was, I think you were able to identify where your own needs were, and you were able to find ways to fill them and make progress on them. That's a good sign. Because if you can do that the rest of your life, where you're kind of self-diagnosing, where am I at? Where do I need to grow? And finding ways to allow that to happen, and finding places and ways to make that happen, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the semester has been very hallmark for me in that, because right before the semester, I was dealing with a lot of like mental health issues, depression, and all that stuff. And so I kind of, whenever I'd say, where am I really right now? I'd immediately start thinking, well, you're garbage. I was like, okay, you're right. So I'm like, but I feel like, I've since... Yeah, I've been able to fight back on that. Went to therapy for a little bit to start taking some medication, and I feel like I'm in a place now where I can finally get back to where I was before all that depression.
I'm sticking with it.
I'm not doing as bad as I thought I was. This is okay. I can live with this. So I feel like it's this semester's been very much ramping that back up.
You just keep going with, I think I can.
Yeah.
You're going to make it.
Yeah, eventually.
And a lot of times you make it like the torch in the hair kind of thing. Usually you'll make it better.
Yeah.
You make it in the endurance. There's something about enduring to the end that's good for all of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you said there was 2 ideas. There's the accreditation viewpoint.
The other viewpoint is the growth viewpoint.
Yeah.
And the growth viewpoint, I kind of blended in a little bit there. But the growth viewpoint is know where you were when you started, and then see where that growth is. And that's kind of the way the rubric is designed.
Yeah.
It's where were you when you started? Where's the growth? How far did the growth come? And you made the growth. You notice that you assessed it in the rubric, like we both talked about. I think you tended to assess it a little bit lower than I saw it.
A little harsh, yeah.
Yeah, but part of that is because I'm still trying to discern where you were when you came in.
Yeah.
Because some people come in with a little stronger capability, and so it's harder for me to tell what did you have when you came and where is it now, where was the growth.
Yeah. I feel like that's on me where I didn't come in at the beginning of the semester.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's why I invite people in early. That makes a difference for me to be able to see where the growth is.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of guess. But
Yeah.
I know.
That's fine. All right.
Thanks.
Very cool.
Thanks for being a good guy.
Yeah. If nothing else, I try to be as noteworthy as I can. I'm a man of note.
Okay.
My brother, he's done all this famous stuff. I want to be famous. I'm like,
Probably not. But we're gonna have
so
fun.
everyone know that I want to be famous. But like, yeah, famous is not famous at all. You know, but yeah, I just want to be. You know, I want to just say that it's something. It was good. It's something fun. Yeah, it's something cool.
Went about doing.
Indeed.
Okay.
We're gonna go have pizza.
Enjoy. See you, Sam.
You got a whole bunch of goodies you got.
Yeah. Have some of those.
Sure, I'll take one. After I'm done talking, because I have an issue when I eat something, it makes it hard for me to start talking afterwards. So for Victoria, she has the versatility of using various methods for different projects that may need different methods, and she figured out the answer to the question, or at least began to, what is a project? Or at the beginning of the semester, she was confused about what that entailed, but now she gets the gist of it, and that's the notes that I have for Victoria.
Okay.
I think that I didn't meet with her, so I don't know for sure, but from what I got from the presentation that she was presenting, it looks like she understands what the class was trying to get across to her. I don't know how she did for the outcome, because I didn't.
I'd say she was definitely one that I had on the proficient / outstanding.
Okay,
But she was one that really shaped the class culture.
yeah.
There was probably 4 or 5 of them that I feel like really shaped the class culture.
Mm-hmm.
And she was one of those. Probably the two most outspoken ones were Max and Victoria, and how they shaped that culture. Yeah. Okay.
And then for Brandon,
It's Brandon Holt.
being able to continually learn and grow and change and adapt, and change focus when needed. He understands quite a few of the key principles that he needed to get from where he was at the beginning of the semester to where he is now. But you already just met with him, I don't know.
And most of the time, I would say that he struggled with communication.
Communication was one.
But the last 2 days, he's done very well with it.
Because his presentation was phenomenal, and he answered questions well that we had from him. And
he did that in this one-on-one interview too. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen you do that before. That's actually kind of cool.
yeah, and I was telling Kyle, that's one of the most important things, and the fact that you were able to get out of your shell and learn how to communicate more effectively is one of the best things you're going to take away from this class, from what you've learned from the project management outcomes here. And if you build on that and the other skills that you've learned, and then find which ones you're weak in, and then look for methods that might help you strengthen those, and start there. Because he lacks the methods in detail. He could explain the iron diamond and the usage of it, and he has the basics of Kanban boards. He used Trello, but he wasn't using it as a Kanban board. He was using it as just the way that Sam was using it. Yeah. But Sam has experience using a Trello board the right way. But he saw the way Sam was using it and thought that's how it should be done. Yeah. So that was it for Kyle. And then let me have something for Maxim and Zara. So Maxim understood the importance of being proactive, and he grew himself in his intrinsic motivation. and humility, and the fact that he came back and he was able to say those things about you, that he respects you and that you have all these things to offer after.
That was different.
Yeah, I mean, it's real growth for sure.
He's probably the one that, because I saw him before, he's the one that I can see the most growth in this semester. Because he's a different Maxim than most people.
I can only imagine, like, there might have been something else that happened that morning, or he had some preconceived notions going in, or something that had to lead up to that.
Blew things up.
Yeah. And I have a lot from Mosiah here.
Okay.
He was able to engage in deep introspection and focus on self-improvement. And some of the project management skills came along with that, but I didn't see him in his presentation looking at any specific skills that he learned.
Yeah.
He's good at looking forward to the future, but not as much into the past. He was able to set the goals, but not much was said about reaching those goals, like how well he is able to do that. And so that's the notes that I had about him.
Okay. He claimed we did planning poker,
Oh, okay.
and my range was a C to a B. So I could see him.
Mhm.
He claimed a B plus. The biggest thing that I tried to talk to him about is that he went through a lull this semester for about a month. He wasn't making progress. He was kind of checked out.
Mhm.
He was into class sometimes, but even when he was in class, you could tell he was just kind of out there.
Yeah.
So I talked to him about that, trying to figure out where he was. And tried to help him brainstorm around, okay, when you see that happening, what's going to happen again? There's going to be times when you want to check out. How are you going to recognize it in yourself? How are you going to find it? And he says, as we discussed it for a while, one of the things he said was, he's like, it's almost like a depression. And I said, I think if you let that feeling persist, it does lead to depression. That's why I'm trying to talk to you about how you're going to catch that in yourself and how you can counter that, because it's going to happen again. So we talked about a couple of different strategies of how to deal with it when it comes. And one thing I think that he's got there now is that he does recognize that that's a pattern that he's going to have to watch out for. That's a good sign. If he's starting to pick up on something like that and see it in himself, he knows how to get out of it. He knows that if he gets back in more of a growth pattern, he finds something to really challenge himself, something to really work on. He knows that that's going to help. So I think that's worth something.
Yeah, there's a lot of introspection that I saw. The only thing I think we could work on is being able to look back, but since the discussion you had, it looks like he's able to do that. But he didn't present that in the presentation as much, but since he has retrospect and introspection there, and that ability to actually look back and learn and grow from the past, that was another key thing I thought he was missing, but it's like it's kind of.
Okay. Well, good.
I don't think I have anyone else that I did have other people that started taking notes for, but they didn't have anything much to, like,
Too substantive.
like I had some, I think Nathan, was it Nathan? What was his name? Christian. I don't know if I said Christian name. So, Christian, I wrote his name down. And then I didn't have much to say. I don't know if his presentation, I didn't really have anything that it brought up.
He was really vanilla. What he presented.
Nothing really stood out to me. So I don't know what to say.
He's one that had an interesting past, and more that I've talked to him about it. He didn't end up serving a mission, and that's something that he has brought up several times. I can tell something that bugs him. I think it's just with the social context of him. He puts a lot of that on himself. And he struggled a lot with self-esteem issues. But this semester he got engaged, and that's made a big difference in his self-esteem.
Oh, I've been noticing, like, at the beginning he seemed like gloomy, but now he's just coming to class more and he's happier. So what's going on with that?
So I think that's the biggest thing that's helped him bring about some shift.
Well, that's good.
Semester.
Do you have any questions for me about anyone in particular?
How do you see Stefano?
That's a good question.
He's an interesting one to try and figure out.
He has an interesting personality, and I don't know where to even start with him, except that I think I've seen some growth, but I don't really have much evidence for that. Except, I mean, he has this huge project that he was able to pull off, and he has all the data that people were actually using, so he made a useful data from his project. I don't know what methods he used for that. I was kind of half listening because I was also talking to Kyle, so I'm not 100% sure if he even covered the methods that he used. But if he did, then that's good. But if he didn't, then I don't know what he used for that. Oh.
He kind of built his own. He came up with 5 different project types and built kind of some fundamental principles or plans around them. He didn't really turn them into a process, but it's more 5 different types of projects that he was seeing that were common in his life. And he identified some principles in each of those areas that he needed to keep in mind to be successful with those different types.
I think that's as good as learning methods. That's pretty good.
I'm not as worried about him learning formalized methods out of books if he can do that.
Because the outcomes doesn't say it has to be
Exactly.
like the defined method.
It says modern project management methodologies.
So that could include one that like you define.
I think it gives you the flexibility to still do something your own. And he did. And I felt like it was nothing inaccurate. It seemed like what he was identifying. I can see where you're coming from.
Well, he has the results to show that it works from his project. So if he applied those principles for those projects, it worked. I don't know about what's her name, the one that's sitting next
Chloe.
to Chloe. I don't know about her.
I don't know enough to know. I know that they worked on that last. They worked on a couple of different projects together. She hasn't come to talk to me about any of them, but he has been able to represent to me the contributions that she makes, and she's a consistent contributor. She challenges his thinking. She doesn't let him just drive the train on those kinds of things. And so that makes me think, I think she's probably doing all right then.
Is there probably a language barrier? Is that why that might be one of the reasons why she isn't
I think that's one of the big ones. So I don't want to judge that too harshly, but I don't want to overblow her contributions. It seems like she's a solid contributor in a small scale. But she's going to have challenges having an impact that's broader.
Because it may be a language barrier that is impacting her communication skills. Even if she doesn't find the spoken word as a form of communication, there can be other ways to accomplish that. So if she can work on communication, I think she would be better off.
Yeah.
I thought she would have met with you by now.
I did too. I'm not sure whether to what grade to give Stefano, because he's done some really good stuff, but he's also just a little bit off sometimes with making it hard for people to understand where he's coming from and why.
Is it on purpose or is it?
I think it's unconscious. I don't think he realizes he does it. I think he feels like he's very clear, but sometimes he's just doing a lot of talking and nobody's really following what the heck he's saying.
Yeah. I don't know.
Kind of wrestle with it.
I think it is between a C and a B+. I think somewhere in that range.
For Stefano or for Chloe?
For Stefan. If he got the communication issue he had down, then you could say an A. But like you said, sometimes I have trouble understanding him, and it's not the accent, like you said.
It's understanding his train of thought, because he kind of comes across just a little scattered and a little. When he said ADHD, I'm like, okay, that might be why. It feels like you're just a little bit of everywhere.
Mhm.
Does that ever come back together? Not quite sure.
It does. I know what the feeling sometimes, but some of my greatest ideas come from my scattered brain.
Yeah. Okay. So Chloe, I'm comfortable passing.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where to go beyond that. So I'm gonna put a C/B right now. Because I think if there's something that she comes back to me with, I would consider moving it up to a B. But right now, I'll keep it at a C unless she comes and talks to me.
I don't know about that group. When they came in, that they presented that project. Yeah, did they meet with you personally? Like, or as a group?
3 of the 7 have met with me personally. I've got one more guy, at least one more guy tomorrow. I don't know if the other guys are coming or not, but I've got at least one more tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed. One of them was in my ward, and I was like, he's like on the presidency for the Elder Department. How do you not see the similarities between what he's teaching and the principles that you need as a leader of the department? So at the beginning, he was all like, he couldn't see the point, and I don't know if he does now or not of the way this class was structured.
He's in your ward?
Yeah.
You've been able to see him all semester then?
Yeah.
Interesting. Who is that? You know his name?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
One of the healthcare guys?
Yeah, it's one of the healthcare guys.
Josh Baldovinos, Dalton Homer.
Dalton.
He has a very strong paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty sure that he knows that the world all fits in that paradigm. And there's parts of the world that don't fit in that paradigm. That's how I read him.
Never be too sure of yourself. That's what I've learned.
And that's kind of where he's at. He's really sure of himself, but he's going to learn a few things along the way.
I hope so. I mean, as a healthcare administrator, you're going to learn a lot.
I hope you do.
As long as he's not the one doing the surgery.
Yeah. So right now I just have that he claimed an A for himself, and I haven't put a grade in there because I'm not comfortable with that yet. He gave me a lot of evidence for why, and he did a pretty good job with it, but it just feels uncomfortable to put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
You're a little blind and you're not seeing why. But I don't know how to approach that. Because I did give him the opportunity, and he did step up to the opportunity. But what I did was, he came in with Josh Baldovinos, those two worked together. And so I gave him a challenge before they left. I said, do you realize that there's still something hanging in the room? There's still some perception from others that Stefano voiced it, but others have come to talk to me since then. It was in between the time I talked to these students. Other students have come in and talked to me about this concern that they kind of felt like you guys came in and talked down Howard. And how do you guys plan to approach that? And they haven't touched it. They haven't come back.
I don't think that they had a plan to do that. Even when you brought it up, when Stefano brought it up, they didn't have a plan to come.
This is a one-way presentation. You guys are just here and we're acting on you and we're out of here.
That's what I got too. I don't know if all of them had that plan, but I know that at least Dalton and Josh had that idea in their head. And I could tell by the way that they carried themselves, all that.
And they exuded that. Which I can see why, because a lot of times in leadership stuff and all the stuff they're reading in that kind of gives you the impression that that's being charismatic. No. That's being somebody that's overriding people.
If you don't take their feelings into account. And I'm surprised because Dalton said something similar in his presentation that you have to work from the bottom up.
Exactly. That's what drove me crazy. I'm like, you guys are talking all these things about communication and the things you're saying don't match up with the way you're acting. Do you realize that?
Oh, didn't I might have notes from them. Now that I think about it, let me bring that up actually.
So I should have one other person come in. When are you out there?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Come on in. See, we got going.
All right.
We got going on this a little too hot and heavy, huh?
Well, I hope that helped a little bit.
It is. Still chipping away at some of these, but away we go.
Take one of these too.
Yeah, better
Thank
get them. Okay, have a good one. How are you, Win?
Good, how are you?
Good. You better enjoy some of those while they're still there. Not very many left.
A lot of trees today.
These are the ones that we make.
Thank you. Oh, you made it? Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
my family does these on the day after Thanksgiving every year.
Interesting.
This is 60th anniversary. From what I understand. 60th anniversary of our family making this chocolate. So
Wow.
this is older than me. My aunt is the one that helped us. She was the one that last year she finally says, yeah, I think this is. I asked her, what year did this start? She had to think back. See, I was this old. She said, it was 1959. I said,
Wow.
cool, I got to make up like a commemorative seal or a sticker or something.
That's
It's
older than
60th
my
anniversary.
parents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Been around for a while.
That's a long time.
Tradition.
But yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it to the final today. Did you get my email?
No, I didn't. I haven't really looked at my email today because I've
I
had
bet there's
people
a
in
lot
all
of
day.
emails.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent.
It was me and Dan Harris were the only two that showed up. So we had an hour and a half long discussion though, but it was really good. We both walked away going, I can't believe that was an hour and a half. But that's really good. I was glad we had this conversation.
That's good. But yeah, I had a company Christmas event, and also I needed to talk to my HR at all calls. I just signed
Happens
the
this time of
full-time
year.
contract,
Oh, cool.
so
They like you.
yeah,
Like you well enough. They're going to keep you coming back for more.
yeah. So I have a place to stay.
That's a good sign.
To work for.
Okay. Well, that's what you get when you're a good guy. Good things happen.
Thank you.
Keep working hard and being a good guy, and good things happen. All right. You got anything else you need to show or talk about over here?
Well, not really here with me. It's just the thing I sent you yesterday.
Okay. So I need to look at that.
Because we were kind of in the middle of the discussion, but I don't know if you have more questions for me.
I'm up to 876 again.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it today,
Oh,
like a week ago. But
I
then,
did look at this.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Then yesterday I promised you I'll be coming to class, and I realized, shoot, I have a meeting tomorrow.
And then we were right about here on this section, from what I remember.
Yeah. We also look at the last part, but we only look at the top part for it briefly.
Mhm. Okay, where do you want to go with it here? And it just that doesn't have to be just this section either. This is just where we left off. We kind of jumped into that section too and jumped over some of the others.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know. I like tell you a lot about myself and how I learned throughout the semester. But I think the most important thing is that we're talking about how integrating those things that I've learned into my life. So I just I went back and thought about it like carefully to see what I've changed. And so we talk about budget management within my family. I was also reflecting my work. So we talk about time management in the past and about estimation. So when I was working, I always have a feeling of my work is taking too long. Like I'm taking too long to finish my work. Like I usually take longer than the estimation to finish my work. And then I reflect back like how I can improve that prospect. So what I've done this semester is I started to break down my task into subtasks, like what we have been doing. Because a task can have multiple parts.
Yeah.
And then so I try to break them down write them down, and estimate for each part.
Somehow the smaller pieces are more likely to get a better estimate for.
Because I mean, a task could be, making the like some changes on the web page, and then there could be the SQL part where you need to update a database, you update the backend code, and then the front end design and the the CSS and all those, and those can be all different parts. So it's not just fix this issue. So I try
Some
to
can take more time and effort and energy than others.
So I kind of break them down and then I estimate how much time I should spend for each part. Because I know some of them are easier, some of them might take a little bit longer to look for. And so I try to break them down in according to the original estimation for the task. I try to delegate those time to each task.
Okay.
And so then I go back and evaluate at the end, even though I still didn't make it, within the estimation time. But I kind of can tell, well, which part did I spend more time?
Start to deconstruct it a little bit.
And so I kind of know which part I need to improve or how I can improve the process of that, doing that part. So that's how it's changed my work. So yeah, just another thing. No problem.
3 minutes. Where you get 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well, whatever question you have for me, how to.
You headed on to where you headed after school here?
Today? Or after graduating?
After graduating.
So I'll be staying here to work for the company for, I don't know, a year, 2 years.
And what are you hoping to do from there?
I'm hoping to get a master eventually. That's my goal. But
Master's in what?
I would either do computer science or information system.
I think you're going to get into a lot more agile project management approaches then. Which of those do you feel like you've gained some experience or knowledge for this semester? Where you at in agile methodology?
I think I have adapted more, like starting this semester, just trying to constantly, having goal to start, but then adapt to new things, new methods throughout the process, and just constantly evaluating myself, where I'm at, and according to my progress, making new plans or,
Okay, I have something to study. One person this time. That's it. I'd encourage you to get to know that. That's the Disciplined Agile Deliveries Manifesto. This version of it shows you anything that's underlined. Those are the changes that they made between the original Agile Manifesto and the Disciplined Agile Manifesto. And I'm not an advocate of which one's right or which one's wrong. I'm an advocate of, I think it's interesting to look at the differences between the two and to try to identify why the differences and why you might lean more towards one than the other in several situations. So I'd encourage you to take that one and work with it and think about that one and play with it as you're implementing and working in agile teams and working in software teams. I think the comparison between the two teaches a lot. I found that really insightful, just to be able to do the comparison between the two different approaches, the two different manifestos.
Yeah, they added a few at the bottom.
Yeah.
So remember, there's 17.
Yeah, there's 12 in the original.
Yeah.
So
Did some research on this too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll take this.
All right. Sounds like a deal. Sounds good. Good to meet with you. You've claimed an A- or an A.
And the rest is up to you.
And I think I'm comfortable with an A-. Does that feel appropriate?
Yeah. I think so.
Because there's a lot of growth and a lot of good that you made throughout the semester. And I love that. And I thank you so much for how you guys turned back around, started working with the rest of the class, with your survey and everything. I feel like that was one of the more meaningful class feedback mechanisms that I've had. And I think a lot of it is because you guys were leading it, people opened up to you guys a little bit more. I've had students that'll do that in my office, that'll open up. But I haven't always been able to capture it well. And where you've captured it, gives me something to go back and kind of troll back through and take my time with during the break. So if there's any other insights you have, any other suggestions you have based on that you'd like to get back to me, I'd love to have that. I'm going to spend some time with it myself. So thank you.
No problem. I don't think I've submitted much on the campus. Do I need to submit anything to get a... Okay.
That's up to you. With
Because I think
when you take on kind of your own approach,
okay.
then the dependent mode is a way of showing dependent mode learning, but it's not the only way to show dependent mode learning. And you've kind of accounted for that a little bit here, so I'm not just worried about it.
Thank you so much.
Good visit with you,
It's a
man.
great semester. Thank you.
Have a good one and enjoy your break.
You as well. Merry Christmas.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
See ya.